Good evening and welcome to another scene in Odessa the Dark Crusade. We start tonight not necessarily within Odessa, but the road between Odessa and its neighboring city, Timiran. A road that is quite less traveled these recent months. First due to the plague and now due to troubles. The military has seen it fit to make all of the streets quite impossible to traverse. So, the illustrious seneschal of Timiran, who might soon not be, due to her own wishes, actually. Might not be the seneschal, but she is currently traveling from the city back to Odessa on horseback.
Seated on the back of his horse, the long white silk of his outfit billowing behind him, Lucian looks over the city from an outward perspective, his horse on the road. He had had an early evening's meeting with an acquaintance, and now later on in the night he wends his way back towards the city proper. He's not alone. There are 3 horsemen with him as they pick their way carefully down the road, approaching the illuminated gates of the city, though still some miles off yet.
You will see a solitary figure just riding along. A quite uncommon sight. But yeah, this figure seems to maybe not. Well, she actually is. Seems to just go past the gate, or not necessarily heading directly towards it.
Do I recognize the figure as the same Madeline who I met, or Madeline whom I met the other evening, or is there some way that she is?
For the sake of ease, instead of us going into like, oh, make a perception check and just botching it and us just passing each other, yes. Madeline is not someone who necessarily, how to put this, hides herself. One could probably hazard a guess to say that she wants to show herself quite often.
Lucian, seated as he is on the back of his horse, will realize who she is before he will look towards the city gates and offer Madeline a inclination of his head from where he sits on the back of his horse.
You will see, likewise, a nod. She will ride closer and she will just say, "Ah, good evening. I do not believe that. It seems that not all are as barred into the city, as closely guarded as everyone else."
This curfew is unfortunately a fool's errand, but if nothing else, it will at least make the appearance of stability. It is a pleasure to see you again, sister.
Oh, and likewise. I thank you for your so gallant assistance last we met. It was unnecessary, but very appreciative.
I was curious why it is you were, he will say as he kind of leads his horse to walk alongside his fellow riders falling in behind them. why it was that you opted to play such games with the Setite.
Hmm. Well, I asked him because I am curious about the young Seta. As, well, careful and curious as, well, honestly, every one of us should be of their particular clan. But I merely wished to see what kinds of currency he was holding. I
I
have not really had a good gauge on how far his businesses have come along.
The Setites will always grow when you give them darkness in which to nest themselves.
Well, that is true. It's too bad for them that my clan is around. If they grow in the darkness, well, they have a problem. And she smiles. Or at least, that's what I have heard.
Where is your gallant dog?
He is tending to other things at the moment. But about that, if you meet him again, I must warn you, he might be a little. Your gallant gesture was very wrongly, but nonetheless taken as not a help, not a offer of assistance, but perhaps a wish to purchase my good favor, or maybe more. I know that was not your intention, but he read it as such. And, well, he also prefers more plain speaking and not so flowery and colorful words as you use. I appreciate them myself, I must say, but speak plainly to him and say that it was not your intent, and he will be quite agreeable. That is my advice. But do not worry. There is no reason to be worried, honestly.
Of this I have no doubt. Hamo. However, I am surprised that you allowed yourself to, how do you say, have such an ingenue. Cavorting with the low clans, etc.
Hmm. The low clans. Hmm. An interesting prospect, no?
They have their uses. However, there is a reason that the high clans rule and the low clans are ruled.
Hmm. Well, it is true. Intent matters. A clan is, for many reasons, a very good indication of what kind of person you are dealing with. That is very certain. But individuals within a clan can be very different. And not too long ago, there was a certain clan I know of that was considered stealers, outcasts. Now they're called Clan Tremere. Are they not a clan? Are they runts? Are they a low clan? Or are they, as some people now see them, beginning to come into a high clan?
The Tremere are an anomaly best left to the Tremere. They will either succeed and flourish, or they will be cast down to the sands of time. But then again, only the passage of Zed will be able to show what fate will await them.
Quite so. But it does beg to the question, how much can we really put in the labels of high and low clan? A question. Not perhaps not answered tonight, but at least a question worth pondering.
Absolutely. One that I am always happy to ponder the matters of philosophy. However, he will say as they continue to ride, as it pertains your gangrel friend, I gave offer of succor when it seemed as though you required aid. If your friend has issue with that, then that is his business.
Oh, there is a much more simple, and it is not that you offered. It was a protective attitude. Him and I are close.
What forged this bond, if one may inquire?
You saw the marks, the scars. He is a person who has, as a mortal, as a ghoul, and as a Canaanite, survived more than most people in this life can. That requires a great bit of strength. Whether he is low clan, nameless, whatever. The strength he possesses, that is something you do not find in any Canaanite. And I seek to harness it. And in harnessing it, the two of us have become quite close. So he was protective, as any man would be.
I understand, he will say as he leads the horse. I am curious. Then, he'll say, looking up at the bright lights of Edessa as they maneuver closer to the city. Does he know, then, that you are still the one who holds the leash?
Hmm. Are you so certain that I hold his leash?
I might not have been before this conversation began. However, now there is no doubt.
Oh, well, normally I would. Uh, she looks at him and just says, in a way, someone literally holds a leash over him, but that is not me. That is his sire, the primogen of the gangrel.
Ah, I understand. Interesting. I am new, freshly returned home to a city much changed. However, out of place, it seems to me that in many ways, from what I have seen, the city is split in two between your clan, Melisandre, and the Ventru. It is interesting. and as of yet the Bruja have been an unknown political agent. I met a individual, a Cappadocian by the name of the Merchant of Bones. I assume you know him?
Hmm. Yes.
And he asked me, honestly, if I was affiliated with another individual who sought to overthrow the Canaanite government here in the name of the people, because he believed that was what the Bruja did, and he believed that that was why I'm here. It's simply not. However, the ability to speak and the ability to have your words respected, now that is a valuable trinket. As of yet, we will have to see which way the Bruja will move.
Well, the Cappadocians, the Bruja and the La Sombra did hold the city before all of this madness began. But by the loss of the sheriff and the prince, the Cappadocians and the Bruja did lose some of their standing. It was a great loss for the city, both of them. But, alas, this has left my clan quite strong. It is true.
I had heard of this alliance between the three clans. An interesting proposition.
Well, it kept the war that has swept up most other cities, most other places in the Holy Land and other places. This war that there is no reason, well, there is a reason for those involved, I suppose. But the city was kept at relative peace by this triumvirate. None of them were directly involved in one side or the other, so we could remain neutral and keep the peace. By keeping the peace, we kept a very profitable and stable city. I hope that it returns to that, of course.
Absolument. Absolument. Should you require the Bruja, Sister Madeleine, in that case, in order to further what was, you have but to ask.
I appreciate that. You seem like an honorable man.
Many
But
people. Oh, sorry, continue.
she looks at him. You can see that, like, all this time that they've been riding, she's smiled and she's kept contact, but she seems to not necessarily stare in your eyes, but she does seem to either be fascinated with the mask or take it in quite a few times. And as she turns and she will just say, I respect your wishes for local events, although it will be perhaps a couple of weeks before we can meet again under normal circumstances. But if it would be possible, I would like to see you without the mask, if I may be so bold.
Lucian will contemplate for a moment. He'll say, I am not ashamed of what it is I look like. You understand. is more a matter of me wishing to keep the dignity of others intact by hiding my face. But yes, you'll see him reach up and he'll remove the hood, and you'll see him. He wears a hood, but he also has a much tighter kind of cloth that's tucked into the mask, so it doesn't show his hair. Sorry, you've asked me to do something because I don't actually have a face for him without it, so give me just a moment.
Just find a picture of Trump. I think that will do it. Ah ha 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 ha. Sorry.
That's how we do things now, apparently. I said he asked me to do the one thing I don't have. He will remove them. I'll tell you what, I'll send you a picture of what he looks like under the mask when I find one that I like.
It is totally fine.
He has the monstrous flaw, so it is genuinely horrible under there. There's Nosferatu that was fucked up.
She gets closer. Just makes her horse just go closer. And she's has asked this. There is no one really around other than the Free Horsemen, probably, that are in the know. She's thinking, but
you know what? Fuck it. Let's use the actual picture from Kingdom of Heaven because we can. Yep. There we go. That'll be what it'll look like under the mask, except his eyes are open.
And she will just. I know you are a proud man. I do not doubt that you have nothing to hide. I know this. I could tell from the first time I met you. She puts a hand on the side of her face, and she just says, "Thank you for showing me."
He will nod before he will replace the mask, tuck it in, pull up his hood again, and he will say, "It is not a matter of pride that I use to hide behind the mask. It is merely, as I say, the social convention of making so that other people are comfortable. I am not ashamed of what I am. I am not ashamed of the face that I bear. I am not ashamed of the pain it caused me to gain these marks, these scars. I did them for a noble purpose. And ultimately, beauty is fleeting. I am sanguine with my decisions. They came to me for greater realization of self. The fact that one must be inwardly superior to what one is outwardly.
That was a manipulation subterfuge roll. She just seems to react to what you're saying, and then she will just say,
Cool, I might as well oppose it.
Yeah. Just it will tie into what she says, so we'll just. Oh yeah, you see go through.
I was gonna say, I think I got you. Yeah.
Yeah. She just begins to say, "It is quite true. Beauty is fleeting, and there is much that is greater." You can tell as the first part, she doesn't see, like, you almost get the impression that you're convinced by what you say, but You get the sense that she may not be totally convinced of what she's saying.
Mhm.
Maybe she puts a bit more into beauty than she thinks she does, or she wants to, or there's something there you can tell that's off. And then she just nods. She says, "Why? Even though it is mark of a good person who takes others and their feelings into account, I would tell you that once I was seneschal in Edessa, a long time ago, I explained to every Nosferatu in this city that when Silesium was called, that people were there, none of them should have to hide their faces. And I told them that if anyone was to mock them or say anything about their faces, they would come to me directly. And I meant that. We all bear our curses. And no one should be mocked for something, especially not like that. I sense you wear it with pride. I wish you would do so whenever. But of course, it is your own decision, your own choice, when you wish to wear this. But that is simply my opinion.
And of course, your opinion is valid. I do not think that it is not, but as I said, ultimately, the face is a lie. The self is a lie. Ultimately, what is you is the collection of memories, the thoughts, the beliefs, the treatises that you form within your innermost self. The shell matters not. In the end, it is the goal, or it should be the goal of all, to transcend the shell in order to become more self than earthly being, in order to no longer be tied to the tethers that hold you down to this place, this world, this consciousness. This is what I believe, and I was very vain when I was younger. They called me the Knight of Roses before they called me the Knight of Thorns. However, in losing my beauty, it merely made me accept the fact that vanity is one of the chains that tie us to the world proper.
Mm. The thing is, however, the tired, poor, those who have experienced the most hardship are also the strongest among us. Again, an answer to why I would associate with a low clan. I believe that some like the Nosferatu, perhaps even a person like you, have a lot to tell. Such realizations you speak of, they are not easy to come by. They do, as you hinted at, require great insight and great mind, wisdom, pondering, time to reflect. Not something that is gifted to everyone.
We shall see, as I say, what it is that time has in store for us all. Some of us may become princes, some of us may become fools, some of us may become scholars, some of us may become beggars. Some of us may rise and be the next prophet, whereas others will be forgotten. But only time will tell.
Hmm. I do. I do believe that the two of us will have quite deep and quite good conversations in the future. I really hope so. First, we will. Well, first we will have to. She looks at the entrance they're pretty much up to now. Have to deal with this.
Allow me to escort you to your home, my lady, so it is that you may be brought safely through the curfew proper.
I was not under the assumption that anyone could. She looks a little red at you. You are certain that it will not cause you problems?
Absolument.
She smiles and just says, "Ah, I thank you very much again for your kindness. It is rare to find."
Think nothing of it. I have no wish for any. I merely wish to aid, and so I shall. In that case, as the two ride through the gates into Odessa, shall we call it there?
We can.
Excellent.
Thank you very much, players for playing, and watchers for watching. Good night.